Whoa. What's up, guys? William here from fitnessforbackpain.com. Today we're talking about the bodyweight squat. We're gonna take the basic of basics of bodyweight movements and we're gonna break it down and pull apart some very common issues that I see with people who have low back pain and people who don't have low back pain, but they're in the gym and trying to do more, right? Trying to do deadlifts or trying to do barbell squats or dumbbell squats. And if their form is jacked up from the beginning, then it's going to translate over to the loaded squat. It's gonna become a bigger issue, causing more issues down the road when it comes to potential pain or injury or keeping your back pain consistent. And this is your first time here, I've got a free workshop for you to go check out. If you're looking to navigate low back pain, persistent low back pain, life after surgery, you've been cleared to exercise, but exercise causes pain, I want to give you this free workshop. It's yours. You can watch it as often, as many times as you want. You can go to fitnessforbackpain.com/back pain workshop. I break down everything from core training to the warm up, to the cool down, to the actual body of your workout when it comes to low back pain, persistent pain, and exercise and how to do it the correct way. So you can break down the bodyweight squat into 3 things that you must be doing, assessing, changing, tweaking, and executing on to master the bodyweight squat so that you can get into a loaded squat pain-free with the same mechanics and same position as you were doing with the bodyweight squat. Now, of course, as you load the body will change, it'll have to adjust. We're not going into complicated measures here when it comes to a loaded squat. We wanna fix and find your perfect bodyweight squat so you can do it pain-free and do it efficiently as possible. So, great tip that I got over from the guys over at Mind Pump TV. You can check them out. And it's about finding your own personal squat stance. Everyone's hips are different. So if you look at a book on squatting or look at a book on exercising for beginners, you're gonna be given the anatomical position for what a squat should look like. But what it doesn't consider is your hip sockets. Everybody's hip sockets are different. Some are deep, some are shallow, some femurs are different. Every ball and socket joint in the hip is different from person to person. So what you have to do as an individual, someone who wants to get into shape and do it pain-free, is you have to learn your body, not just read a book. So a great way to start out and find your beginner level or your starting point when it comes to your bodyweight squat is to lay completely on your back. I'm gonna show you a few different angles here. Lay completely on your back, and what you're gonna do is don't try to push your back into the ground or flatten your back, but what you're gonna do actually is close your eyes, and I want you to bring your knees to their full range of motion before your lower back rounds and your butt comes up. You don't want to do this. All you're doing is find that neutral pelvis and find that neutral position, what feels good to you in your lower back. Feet up, and I want you to allow your knees to come, eyes closed, knees to come up as far as you can bring them. And then what I want you to do is I want you to open your eyes and look down. This is pretty much a great starting point. So, and it's consistent. So I'll show you a little beautiful view here. Eyes are closed, back is in a good position. I'm gonna pull, full range of motion until I start to either round my lower back and I'm bringing my butt up, which is not what you want, but I'm coming as far as I can before I lose that lower back position. And look, it's consistent. This is the position for me to start in that will give me the most power into the bar or just simply doing a bodyweight squat. This is an efficient position for me. All right, so now that you have your ideal position for your specific body weight just by off of muscle memory and what your body wants to do, now let's jump up and break down what you should be thinking about and doing while doing the bodyweight squat in this now more efficient position. First things first is I suggest you always take your shoes off. I don't like shoes. These here are what you would consider minimalist type of shoes. There's a brand called Lems. If you wanna check those out, they've got some pretty cool minimalist, low grade, like zero drop technology type of stuff that allows you to lay flat on the ground so your feet are engaged. But I still enjoy taking my shoes off, taking my socks off, and allowing my feet and toes to activate. That's extremely, extremely important that your feet know what's going on. The first point that I like to focus on is engagement, right? How are you engaging the muscles that should be engaged while doing the specific exercise that you're doing? In this case, the bodyweight squat. One cue that I like to use is ripping the ground apart with my feet. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm in my ideal squatting position And as I'm going down, I'm not just doing this, but I'm grabbing the ground with my toes and my feet. As I'm squeezing, I'm hinging back. At the same time, I'm trying to drive my feet apart. I'm trying to like slide and rip the ground apart with my feet. So what it looks like from the side, you're not gonna tell that I'm doing it. You just have to mentally know that as you're going down, I'm trying to squeeze and crush the ground, as well as take my feet and separate. What that's gonna do is it's gonna fire and engage your glutes, your hips, everything in here. As soon as you start to try to do this and pull yourself apart, everything's gonna be engaging. So your low back is not taking the load or the stress if you have a sensitive low back. Instead, your hips are, which is super important. The next key thing is going slow. Oftentimes we go too quick because we're just kind of like, okay, bodyweight squat, super easy, let's just do it. What I like to do is after I've cued the ripping the ground apart with your feet, is to go slow. What does that look like? Essentially, I'm going slow, slow, slow. So what I can do is I can learn to compensate and learn to balance and adjust as I'm going down. There's no weight on my body. It shouldn't be a scary situation. As I'm going down, I can say, this is kind of weird. What happens if I do my feet out a little bit further, right? Or take my feet a little bit wider. You can make adjustments, and going slow allows you to remember all the way down what you should be doing. Things like grabbing the ground with your feet, ripping the ground apart with your feet. All that takes practice. The second part, as I'm going down, obviously you have to know where your knees are going. You have to know what your knees are doing. Ideally, very simple approach is try to have your knees track over where your toes are. So if my toes are pointing straight forward, obviously you want your knees to go straight forward. Most squats are not gonna be like that. Naturally, you're gonna find yourself with some kind of external rotation. Don't try to overdo it to compensate for a lack of range of motion or whatever. Find that ideal position and then go from there. A quick example of that, my toes are in their ideal position as far as my squatting goes. As I'm squatting and ripping the ground apart with my feet, my knees are going to track over where my toes are. And that's gonna allow me to kind of sit into this bucket of my hip and allow everything to be nice and balanced and strong and efficient when I come down and when I'm coming out. Whether that is loaded or not loaded, you want your knees to be tracking along with your toes. The third step of mastering the bodyweight squat is the tweak. You gotta tweak it, you gotta change it. You've gone from the ground baby steps to engaging and firing, and now we're gonna tweak it. Now everybody is different. It's hard to say you're doing it wrong. You have to do this one single thing that everyone must do to get it right, and that's just not the truth. That's not how it works. So some common issues. First, we're gonna look at ankle range of motion, right? If you have a lack of ankle range of motion, which is this without your heel coming off the ground, then you're going to compensate. So the issues that you see is, again, this whole situation here. One thing, it could be a lack of confidence in range of motion, or the other thing, it could be an actual ankle range of motion issue. So if that's you can do some ankle range of motion stuff. You can YouTube, Google, stuff like that. But one thing you can do to test for that, to see if your confidence goes up and if it is potentially an ankle range of motion issue, is to grab some plates or some kind of elevated thing. You can grab a book, you can grab, some pieces of wood or whatever. What you're gonna do is you're gonna step onto that weight so your heels are elevated on those plates. And from there, you're gonna get into your ideal squat position, and we're gonna go down and into that squat. How do you feel? Do you feel more balanced? Do you find yourself, I'll show you from the side here. If I do it from the side, if your habit or problem, most people have a problem of squatting like this due to the lack of confidence or range of motion. So elevating that heel should give you the balance. Most people feel like they're gonna fall over when doing the squat, bodyweight squat or loaded squat, so they compensate in those ways. Build your confidence up in your mobility, and then also you can elevate your heels like this. So from the side, coming down, and this allows me to keep that neutral low back. Everything's nice and low. I'm not rounding. I'm stopping at that sweet spot for me. Everything's nice and engaged. And these elevated heels are helping me get into that more efficient or more comfortable position. Try that out. Second thing is just building more strength, right? You have to kind of think about what you're doing. You're engaging the entire lower body. One great way to do it is doing things like single leg work, single leg lunges or squats. One thing that I like to do is use these bands. These are just random bands. I'll link them in the description box below. These are really cool because you can kind of get the body warmed up or fired up for squats by doing this, or any kind of lower body day. Is you'll wrap these around your leg like this, above your knee. And the same thing, you can do these with these elevations, the heel elevated here. What I'm doing, I'll show you real quick from the side here, in my ideal position. And as I'm going down, what my goal is, I'm trying to push my stuff out. So I'm here pushing out and back. Obviously the band's gonna keep you limited on how wide you can go. So if you prefer a super wide squat, this is gonna limit you, but it's gonna help build strength in that activation, that mind-body connection to, as I'm going down, I'm engaging. Other things like glute bridges, banded glute bridges, bodyweight glute bridges, single leg stuff. There's a gamut of exercises you can do that don't involve two legs squatting, that allow you to build strength in the glutes. And last major tweak is a simple, just go wider. Most people won't necessarily go more narrow, but wider just basically means you're adjusting how wide your feet are. Very simple. So if you have found your natural position after you do the on the floor test to be here, and you get into it and you're like, oh, I just kind of feel weird, go wider, adjust it. You can find a position that works for you, whether it is more narrow, whether it is wider. You can do those squats, but again, you're looking for the key breakdowns. Are your glutes engaged? Are your hips engaged? Are you falling forward? Are you going low enough? All those types of things you have to be looking for, and all the things we kind of talked about will help you tweak those things to get to the right point. So if you fall here, you can go wider, and if you're able to engage better in that position, then do it. So that is it, guys. That is how I break down the bodyweight squat, how to do it from basically a fundamental standpoint and kind of working your way up from there. If you don't master these things, you're not going to be successful under the bar. If you are trying to go towards heavier weight, oftentimes it is mechanics, it is form, it is technique. And if you don't master the things on the fundamental layer, as in bodyweight squatting, as if you have 500 pounds on your back, then you're gonna break down eventually. So if the bodyweight squat is something that's been causing you issues, put these things to work. Let me know how it went for you. What is your specific issue? Do you fall forward? Do you have lack of range of motion? Love to hear about your own specific situation in the comment box below. Don't forget that free guide if you have back pain, you're trying to exercise, trying to use exercise to get yourself out of chronic pain, or figure out why the heck you have so much pain when you do exercise. Go to fitnessforbackpain.com/backpainworkshop. And that is it. See you on the next episode, guys.